I'm super excited to talk with you today. I would love for you to, as a first step, just share your story with the listeners and let them know what inspired Redbird.
Yeah, so quite simply, the inspiration behind Redbird came from losing both my aunt and my mom in close succession. My aunt died while becoming an expat to live in the Gambia. She left the United States, and then 8 months later, she was dead. And there are still so many unknowns surrounding her death and so many questions that have left to be unanswered. And my mom never got over her sister's death. So when she died, 14 months later, I just had to take a pause. I had to reset, recalibrate, and just figure out what I wanted to do. I quit my job. I just wanted to focus solely on honoring my mom. And the way that I did that is through writing Redbird.
You mentioned your mother had she struggled with the loss of her
Oh
sister.
my God,
And
tremendously.
during this trauma, I think when we have the loss of a loved one, especially if the first time you have a close relative pass, is is really jarring because while you expect it, you also almost don't expect it. Like you kind
Yeah.
of just think it's not going to happen. My grandmother is 97, and we know that every day is a gift. Like that's
Yeah.
just a given because at
Hmm.
this point, this is borrowed time. But when somebody's much younger, you don't
Hmm.
expect that there is going to be a profound loss. So when you lost your aunt, how did that how did that affect you? How did that loss affect you? And then what did you see in your mother? Like the physical response even.
Yeah. So it affected me in a way that I can't describe. She was 53 and we're pretty close in age. I was like 43 at the time, and I'm now 46. So going through losing someone that was the baby of the family, because she was the youngest child, and then being so close in age to her, I really, really took it hard. I took it like, oh my God, she was just here. And now it just shows just how fleeting life is. And the way that it presented in my mom was that I could see that a light had dimmed in her. I could tell that she was just, this had taken her out, because she had lost her mom when she was 28, and she mourned that loss her entire life. She never got over her mom's death, and then this was just a crushing blow to lose her baby sister. It was too much.
I can only very gently imagine, as I've never experienced anything like this. And I almost I don't live in fear of it, but I am now because I'm turning 42 this year.
Okay.
And my husband just turned 50. And so we're getting to the point where, our parents are obviously older. And
Hmm.
the discussions around mortality have sort of started. My mom has actually been bringing mortality up our whole lives and sort of trying to make it um, something okay to talk about and
Yes.
not brush to the side because as almost like a step in the direction of you will eventually experience a loss. Like it is going to happen. We don't have a choice. We have to have that happen to us. Um, how did you process the loss of your aunt? And actually, one thing I do want to ask for the listeners, um, can you go into more details as to what an expat is? I want to make sure they understand what happened.
Yeah. So my aunt had decided, months prior to her leaving the United States, that she did not want to live on US soil. She was just like, everything that's happened to me here in the United States has not been an optimal an optimal experience. So I want to see what the rest of the world has to offer. And she then decided that she was going to, yes, leave the United States, but then also expatriate. She wanted to not be a US citizen. She wanted to be a citizen of the world. And I can appreciate that. She booked a one-way ticket to the Gambia and was never seen again. It was just it's the way that it happened was such that you would think it was a Lifetime movie. Like it was just it was crazy. And then having to contact the US embassy over in the Gambia was literally an act of Congress. It took me days to nail down the right number, the right contact. It was, I had a spreadsheet that I kept, a track of all the numbers because I was just dialing out, trying to figure out who I could talk to. It was the craziest scenario you could have even imagined.
That sounds it. You're right. It does sound like a Lifetime movie. It sounds like a living nightmare though,
It
because
was.
you can't get in touch with your aunt. So obviously you know something is wrong,
Yep.
but there's no way for you to really know what's going on unless you physically fly over there and like start, feet on the ground, like where is this? Where's my aunt? Where's my relative? I
Yes.
can't even imagine. And I will admit this too, like, in our household, my husband had wanted to go. He wanted to go away, and he was, saying like, "Oh, I'd love to go on vacation, this and that." And I've done that. I'm one of those wives that I'm like, "Oh, go, like, have fun, like,
Yeah.
I'll book you a ticket, like, go for it." And I'm like, everyone needs a break, like, everyone needs a reprieve, and I'm cool with this. But in the past few years, I have scaled that back quite a bit out of exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it's sad to really think of the fact that like I haven't been touched by any of this, but the fear is there. So
Yeah.
much so to the point where we all got our passports, and I made it a point to make sure that my husband has a passport card that he can carry on his physical person
Oh,
for
love that.
fear of I don't know what's going to happen. He's from Ecuador, so I'm like, I would prefer for you to have every protection possible on your physical person so that you can be identified because God forbid. I
Yeah.
don't know. And then the fear of honestly like him traveling solo, it sounds silly. He's a grown man, he's physically fit, like he can handle himself, but there's this, you watch what's going on in the world today and you're like, I don't want to send my loved one out there without me.
I know. And I definitely had my reservations about her going over there, but you can't tell an adult what to do.
Yeah.
And she was really, really earnest. She really wanted to do this. And when she got over there, and we don't know what the story is, but she was about to get married to some guy that she met over there. We don't know if they were talking prior to her getting over to the Gambia, like they had had some kind of pen pal relationship. We don't know. But she was going to be married to this guy, and he's the reason why we know that she had passed away. He called my mom at 4 o'clock in the morning one random Sunday and said that she was gone. And my mom was confused. She was like, "What do you mean, to the store? Like, I don't, where's this going?" And he was like, "No, Sandra, she's passed away. She died." And that's when the very next day, that Monday, that's when I started making phone calls to the police, to anybody, just to see if this was in fact true. And it was just, it took so much work and so much, time, because it was impossible to nail down the correct person to be speaking to in this regard.
And it also, I think it almost also leaves an open wound there. And I could
Yeah.
see how your mother would have trouble healing from, because at least when her mother passed, there it's here. And we
Yeah.
go through our own, we have our processes here. You go to the funeral home, like there is some levels of closure that we get here that
Absolutely.
in this scenario, she's not gonna have that.
She
Like that
never
that
had
would have
any
never
closure.
come. And it never came. And
Never.
now you're left living with questions still, and probably I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine that you feel a lot of anger too, because that's
Yeah.
where I would be.
we were My mom was so ticked off. Like, she was just like, "What?" in the world is happening here? Like she could not wrap her brain around it. And that's why I took it upon myself to be the one to do the reaching out, because my mom did not have the mental capacity to do it.
Yeah.
She was fit to be tied. She was just over it. And she could not handle the emotional pressure of trying to figure out what had happened to her sister. So I took on that, and I didn't get a chance to grieve because I was,
Yeah.
in go mode. I was in go mode, and it took a toll on me. And then, months later when my mom died, I really had no choice but to just take a step back and, like I said, quit my job and dedicated my life to writing this book. It took me almost 12 months, a year to finish it, publish it, edit it, all that stuff. And by the time it was done, we were coming up on her 1 year anniversary of her death. So yeah, I really still haven't processed, if I'm being honest.
I was gonna say the time frame that you mentioned, you're probably still in the thick of it.
I am.
I
I
wouldn't
am.
imagine that there has been a closure at this point.
Not
When
really.
you lost your mother, and then you probably had a almost like an in between moment of like, what am I going to do here? How did you make? I want to commend you for making the decision to step back, because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people would not have done that. And speaking for, I can imagine, like, I know prior me would have thrown myself further into work, or like I would have tried to distract and deflect. And I'm curious for your process, for somebody listening that has experienced a loss like this and doesn't know what to do and they're spiraling. What was your process there? How did you think this through?
I didn't think it through. That's the beauty of it. I I'm like you said, I would have been like, let's just dive into work. Let's, just distract myself. But I had to take a pregnant pause. I really did, because I could not I could not accept that my mom was no longer here. And I did not want to accept that fact. And so leaving the job, that took some thought, but really and truly, I really woke up one day and it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking around the house and I'm like, should I do it? Do I do it? And my husband's like sleep, not knowing what I'm doing. I had
Of course.
talked to him about it. I talked to him about it a little bit, like a couple of days prior, but he didn't know if I was actually going to pull the trigger. But I, like I said, woke up that Wednesday and called my boss, who was out of town for a work trip. And I was like, I know that you're preparing for the day, but I just want you to know that this call serves as notice that this is my last day at this company. And she was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, so not going to be here anymore. Just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. When can I, get my stuff to the office? I can take it up there tomorrow, today. I don't care. Just let me know what you would like me to do. And she was dumbfounded. She was just like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Do you want to give it some thought? And I'm like, oh, I have this is my thought. So thank you, but no thanks. And that's how I ended it.
I'm surprised. Maybe not, because I guess certain people won't have like the emotional intelligence to be able to see that somebody's really struggling through something.
Yeah,
And I know that I've encountered colleagues that are like that they just don't have that capacity. How much pushback did you get from people around you in your circle? Was anybody, and I ask this question because I'm sure somebody listening might be saying, like, I want to take this step, but everyone's breathing down my neck.
I
Everyone's
know.
judging this. How did you manage that?
Luckily, I didn't have anybody give me pushback,
Good.
because think about it. The people that were around me were my siblings. I have three of them. I have an older brother, an older sister, and a twin sister. And all three of them were like, girl, do you. If this is what you need to do to like get through mom's death, do it. I have such a tremendously supportive family that I love very, very much. Even my friends were like, if I could, I would too. I want to walk off this job like yesterday. And I just I was presented with a lot of respect and a lot of I understand yous. So that actually was really, really helpful in helping me seal the deal on pulling the trigger on my career. I had to do it. Like it just there was nothing stopping me. And I know that my mom would have been like, if this isn't where you want to be right now or need to be right now, then you need to take care of you. I could just hear her saying that.
You can hear her voice.
I could hear her voice. And I was like, Mom, I think I'm going to do it. And she was like, go ahead, child. Like, just do what you have to do. And so a lot of forethought didn't happen. It was
Start
just,
messy, right? That's what
yeah,
we talked about.
I
Yeah.
know, but it was just kind of like act on your emotion. And I know that that is like a recipe for disaster in any case of your life. But in this particular moment, I needed this. I needed to do it. So I did. And I never looked back.
You know, I don't think this was like a emotional response. This sounds more like you followed your instinct.
Yes.
And I do also want to say it is a profound blessing that you have a circle around you that is how they are and that they are
Yeah.
supportive and that they do have that they are in tune with you. I've worked really hard to like scale and pull together the people that I know me well enough to be like, you need to do what lights you up or you need to do whatever you need to do where this is a judgment free space. So that in itself, that's a beautiful thing that you
Yeah.
have there. And I'm so happy that you do have that kind of a support system in this scenario. Now, I have one more question, then I want to ask about your book, and I want you to talk about the book a little bit more. Um, from an outside perspective, outsiders that knew you during this time or know you now during this time, what is something that I could say or someone could say to ask you to check in to see how you're doing without being, overbearing or without being insensitive to what you're going through?
Yeah, I found that like my closest friends and even those that were, on the periphery of my life, they were asking questions like, what do you need? Not
Okay.
necessarily, how are you doing? My husband, the day that my mom died, we came home from her house. She lived about 45 minutes away from me. And we get home, it's dusk, and I was just looking around like, what do I do now? I was just wasted. I just looked around like I don't even know what I'm doing here. And my mom's not here because it was
Yeah.
completely lost on me that I could live in a world where my mom wasn't physically here. And that really just punched me in the gut like you have no idea. And so my husband saw me and he saw me panicking, quietly panicking. And he was just like, what do you need? And I just said, I need to scream. I need to scream.
I was just thinking that. I was just
Yeah.
thinking that. Go ahead.
And so I did. And he was like, go for it. And he plugged his ears up and, and I let out the most guttural scream I've ever screamed in my life. And it was exactly what I needed in that moment. Just him asking, what is it that you need? What do you need? How can I, what? Just tell me what it is. And that it was the right question at the right time.
I always I always struggle when someone passes with that part.
Yeah.
Like the if it's and even like me personally, like I'm kind of a when it comes to stuff like that, like with profound loss, I haven't experienced that yet as this version of me when I was
Yeah.
younger. when we had losses in the family, we had suffered a couple of really profound losses when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. And I was like, I'm shut down. Like, don't
Mm.
don't talk to me about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna put my feelings in this box and I'm tucking that away and I'm gonna just pretend like it didn't happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm not so much like that. I'm not like that anymore. So I that's why I asked the question, because I get awkward and I think other people get awkward in conversations like this with, how do I sensitively approach this, or how do I ask the question? Should I even ask the question? And I think that a lot of folks don't know how to respond, and myself included, in a lot of
Yeah.
instances. And even showing up, like, would, if I hear about somebody who has passed, is it respectful to go to the funeral, or is it, should I give people space? Like, there's always that
Yeah.
question in my mind of like, what's appropriate here? If I haven't been in touch with somebody and I know that they've suffered a loss, do I still go? I didn't really know the person, but I know the person who suffered the loss. And I think that a lot of us struggle
The
in this
answer is
little
always
area.
yes, you go. You pay your respects.
I
That's
usually do.
always, yeah, that's I if I like I struggle with that too. Like I don't want to be encroach on someone's privacy and private affairs, but it takes nothing to just pay your respects. And no one can look down on that.
Yeah.
The answer is always you go. If that's what your heart is telling you to do, if that's what your spirit is calling you to do, you go and you pay your respects.
I read recently something online, and I forget who it was. So somebody, I don't know, it was one of the stars, like one of the movie stars, and they said that they were relaying a story where um there was a funeral for somebody, and he had wanted to go to the funeral, and he was like, it wasn't even somebody I really knew, it was like an acquaintance, and he
Mm.
had wanted to go, but then he kind of didn't get around to it, and it's bothered him for like 20 years
Oh
that he didn't
God.
go. And I've had a similar instance where there was somebody who had passed when I was in my 20s. I didn't go out of fear, to be perfectly honest. If I'm going to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest, it was out of fear of like the exposure of emotion, has always been something that I've like, because of my own trauma, I've always boxed it.
Yeah.
And I've regretted it for forever that I didn't go to this one funeral. And now I go to everybody's funerals because I don't want
Right?
to. You're right. Like I want to be there to pay the respects to the people that are still here.
Yeah. You always go. No question.
For So you make the decision and you resign, and your boss is shocked, obviously, but you're like, that's it, like effective immediately. At what point did you realize you wanted to put what you've gone through into a book?
About a week after I had no job, um, I was like, well, I don't want to start looking for a new job right away. So let me figure out what I can do. I started journaling when I was like 12. I
Yeah.
have books and books of journals, to the just book to the brim with pages and pages of my adolescent thoughts. But um, about a week after I quit, I was sitting around just writing in my journal. And then I was like, wait a minute, let me use my computer because this is taking too long. I have like really intricate handwriting and it's just annoying. So I was like typing and I'm like, this is really turning into something. And then I kept going back to it. I kept writing every single day. I kept going back to it, kept adding things and kept changing things. And it just became what Redbird is today. And at that point, my husband was like, "Well, what are you going to do with these pages? Are you going to just bound them? Are you going to give them to your brothers and sisters, or what are you going to do?" And I was like, I'm going to publish it. I'm going to get it published." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So we did the work of trying to find publishers, and that was tedious. So tedious, like having to send, an abstract to, literary agents is not fun and it takes so much time. So I was
Hmm.
just like, let's just self-publish. And then heard
Sure.
about I heard about Amazon and KDP publishing and all that. And I was like, I'm going to do that. So I had a discovery call the very next day with a guy from KDP, and he was like, "We can do this for you. We can help you with your cover art. What ideas do you have?" And I did it.
That's
So
beautiful.
within like a month, we were rocking and rolling. They were editing everything and we came up with the cover and it was really exciting. And I was just like, I cannot believe I'm going to do this. And 12 months later, Redbird was let free.
Do you feel like I really love that? Do you feel like, and I know you're still working on healing because what you went through is a lot doesn't even cover it. What you went through is it is. It's just life
Yeah.
altering, and you altered your life. Do you feel like the book in some way is almost like a part of you that you're putting out there that is meant to also heal you? Because what you're doing too, and I want to commend you for taking time, looking at what you had, and then also realizing like you could actually help other people.
Yeah. I really thank you for the commendation. I really appreciate that because I felt kind of like a loser when I couldn't cope. I felt like, oh man, I'm I I'm not dealing with this in the way that I would want to, more poised and more together. But I think that when I look back on it now, I'm more of, I can't believe I did that. Like I'm in shock of what I was able to, to churn out in that small span of time. And even with this huge decision over my head, I still look back and I'm grateful that I was afforded the opportunity to actually leave my job and not be homeless. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm so happy that I have the resources to do this. And I will never regret that decision. I think it was the best one that I could have made at the time. And I need to stop being so hard on myself and thinking that I'm a loser because I couldn't hack it. I couldn't hack the grief. But grief is hard for everybody. It's different for everybody. Some people take pauses, some people just throw themselves into the thick of things and I just couldn't do that. I had to realize I was out of my depth in that regard.
Even that step, what you just talked about. So there's, it's interesting that there's shame that, and I, again, like I haven't experienced it, but I'm hearing you say it. So I'm going to assume that other people are experiencing this.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there's shame that comes along with not being able to handle grief quickly. Why
I
should we
know.
handle grief quickly?
But look at corporate America though. The bereavement days that they give you is
Oh,
3 or 5.
yeah.
Like for a whole mom? Like
Yeah.
what?
I've thought about that actually a couple of times. I haven't checked what my corporate policy is. That, yeah, I have my
Check,
corporate job, right?
girl.
I have thought quite a bit about that, and I'm like, I'm gonna need weeks, months. Like, I'm not gonna be okay. Like, yeah, let me just go back. It, like
I couldn't
even
do it.
and I know it lessens like the further away the relative is. I'm close with my grandmother. I'm gonna need a minute. Like,
Right? At
this
least
isn't gonna be
give
something
me
that's
a
gonna be like,
minute.
you'll be back in 3 days. I'm like, no, 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 I won't.
No, I won't. And it was crazy because I eulogized my mom and having to prep for the memorial, I took at least a week off for that. I was like, I'm not going
Yeah,
to be working during me trying to eulogize my mom. Like no freaking way. And having to put everything together, get the linens for the tables at the repast, do all this, figure out where we're
yeah.
going to have it, have her cremated, get the urn. It was a lot. It was a huge production. I think it's very similar to producing a wedding. It was really crazy the amount of things that
It,
we had to do. And 3 days
so
wasn't going to
I
cut it.
this part I know about. This part I know a little bit about only because my mother, still with me, she came to me last year and was like, she lives down in Delaware, but she said to me, she was like, look, she was like, she's getting everything set up. She has her will in place. She has all her things, all her ducks in a row, and she's not ill. She's okay. But she said to me, she's like, I just want to make sure everything is done. All the decisions are made because you're going to need time to mourn. You don't want to be like, oh, let me pick up the casket and how are we going to pay for this and all this stuff. So she said to me, she's like, can you just come with me? I already know what funeral parlor I want to be, have, everything at,
Wow.
the viewings and everything. She was like, I already know where I want to go with stuff. And she was like, I know where I want my plot to be. She was like, I would like to take care of all this now. She's like, can you just come with me? And it
Whoa.
was basically meeting. That's why I said to you, I'm like, my mom has been really on this and making sure, because she lost her parents and it was a shock. Like they were ill and they were older, but it still like was a lot to deal with in that
Of
moment.
course.
And my aunt, she lost her husband. Like having to go through it in the moment is, like you said, like that's really horrible. Like you've suffered this loss, but now you have to make all these decisions. I went with her to the funeral home. This
Wow.
particular funeral home is part of a network of funeral homes. So you could basically partner with a basically an event planner and pre-select everything out,
No.
and you can make monthly payments on it
Stop.
now. I'm not kidding. And you could purchase insurance to insure your package. So if you pass before you've paid everything off, it is considered 100% paid. And I can give you the information. I will email it to you. Yeah, it's considered 100% paid off, and they will handle everything. So we picked out her casket. We picked out. She already has her plot. That's already taken care of. All of the decisions have been made already for floral. Every single decision that has to be made when somebody passes, we've already done it, including
Whoa.
the pickup of her body to Delaware and bringing it up. No decisions have to be made. Everything is done.
That is such a
It's
blessing.
something creepy to talk about, but I am so happy that she did that. And because she did it, I've set it up for my husband and I.
You're
We're
smart.
done. Like if anything should happen, I have three little children, so I'm like, if anything should happen to me, it's already taken care of. No one has to worry about anything. We're already
You
done. Same with my
know,
husband. We're done. We're okay.
that is incredible. My mom, she didn't do anything like that, but she had everything written out.
Yeah.
And she initially, when she did her last will and testament, she had X'd out where they about the burial. She said, cremate me, and then signed her name
Yeah.
next to it. She changed her mind at the last minute. I don't know when this was done, but it was in her handwriting and it, was signed by her. And I
Mm.
was like, oh my God, mom. And she had passwords, all kinds of things, that this is my account information for savings, checking, retirement,
Yep.
all this stuff. So she had everything. Like, we didn't have to really do anything. The only thing we had to do was the affidavit of heirship. When someone dies and they have a will, one of the things that you have to do if you don't want to go through probate is submit an affidavit of heirship for the children in the family who are preceding
Mm.
their parents' death. So we did that. That's the only paperwork we really had to do. And yeah, like we got the proceeds from her estate very quickly because of that.
That's that's how my mother has set everything up. And
Yeah.
I I came home from doing all that with her, and it was a little it's a little bit strange to have to face it,
Yes.
but because we've done it, I know like when the time comes, like I can just focus on honoring.
Yeah. And the people who love you, if it's you that passes, they can just take the time they need to truly process the loss.
And it's interesting, even, and I know like this is kind of like an offshoot discussion, but people, like you said, like we plan for weddings,
Yep.
births, we pre-plan, we hire people, like we really go to town for all these life events. But for some reason, and I think it's because we're all scared to really think about it,
Yeah.
when it comes to this, nobody really preps. People aren't prepping. And as I mentioned, like there's so the funeral place that my mother is going to, and they have this vast network. So even if I were to die in another state, or
No.
if I moved, right, and I was in a different state when I passed, and that's where I want to be buried and everything, they will just connect me with another funeral parlor closer to me in their network, and they will transfer everything over to that. Like it's all integrated to
Oh
the
my
point where
God.
there will be no problems. Like we can really easily pivot. And that I was shocked when he told me about this. I'm like, when did this have? Why isn't this being advertised somewhere? But it's because like
Why
where are
is
they
it
advertising
not?
that? It should be talked about. And even you mentioned like your mother had everything written down, including passwords and everything like that. I've actually given that quite a bit of thought on my side because
Hmm.
in preparation for my family, I handle all the financials and everything. So like the deed, the house deed, like the cars, like you know, my husband has to know where all that is. It has to be packaged up because
Yes.
he's not in the day to day with it, so he's not going to really know. And I thought about this, and I'm like, oh my god, like I need to not just keep it organized for myself, but I need to keep it organized to pass
For
it off
him. Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
and that's really what this is. When you think about it, if you take a step back and you think about it for yourself and the planning for it, you're not just planning it because of you, you're planning it to help your family. And if you think of it
Exactly.
from that angle, and if you're listening to this, it might sound, again, it sounds a little crazy, but if you're listening to this, like this is important. This is a significant life event. We can't avoid this. And I will say this, like the payments, that the payment plan that, they set up, it's
Hmm.
like relatively low. It's like $300 a month.
What?
It's not, that's why I'm like, I was kind of mad that I didn't know about it until now. And now I
Oh
want to
my
tell people
gosh.
that because I'm like, it's a low cost kind of thing. Just throw it in like another bill, start
It's
paying
like
it for
insurance.
it is. That's exactly what it is.
That's
That's
like
exactly what it is.
that's exactly what it is because that what a neat program because think about the people who are in a situation where they may not be financially like top heavy and they can
Yes.
slowly pay for wow.
Honestly, exactly. And I don't think people realize like how immensely expensive
It can
funerals
be really
are.
expensive.
It can be,
Yeah.
and even if you honestly like, I was there looking at the options for things, and even on the lower end, it was pricey. Like we're talking about $30,000, twenty thousand
See?
dollars, like
Yep.
easily. And that's for the less expensive packages.
Yeah.
So to think about that, that was always the part that used to give me anxiety because I don't have $30,000 lying around. So like, if someone passed, like I'd be kind of stuck. I'd be like, oh no, like what am I supposed to do? So it it's a program that I'm incredibly impressed with, and it is something that I do think like we do need to prepare, like we do need to talk more about it and
Yeah.
almost normalize the discussion a little bit, the same way we're like plan for your child's birth, plan for your weddings, plan for
Yeah.
the funeral,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
have to do it. At least have your ducks in a row some kind of way
Right, right. So
in some
I'm
capacity.
in some capacity, so that's something, so it's a little bit easier and not as complex.
Yeah, definitely.
So now your book is out, and I want to put a link here just to show like it's available on Amazon.
And
So
Barnes and Noble and Book People.
parts of the book, beautiful, wonderful. Uh, I'm like I'm very happy that you did this because I've had a I have had quite a few guests come on the show that have gone through traumatic events, and it's almost every single woman comes on and tells their story, and you're one of the ones that is taking this, and everyone across, you're taking what you've gone through and you're sharing it, and I think in a way it will help to heal you to
Oh,
know like
yes.
other people are drawing from this. But putting your like personal trauma onto paper and putting it out into the world is doing something for you energetically. And I think you probably feel that. I'm
I
not sure if you
do.
feel it yet. You do feel it. I would think that you would, just because I have read so much about what that could do for you in the situation to help you
Yes.
heal through healing other folks.
Yeah. It's been a true delight of mine to be able to speak to so many people on podcasts and just tell my story because I don't just talk about loss. I talk about, body image issues. I talk about trying to end my life when I was 24. I talk about being in a mental facility. My mom had me committed because I had tried to kill myself. So these are things that I don't take lightly, but it felt so cathartic to get it out and in the hopes that I can help someone else.
For I bought your book, by the way.
Oh,
just,
yay!
just so you know, I told you I buy everyone's books. I have
You're
a
so
stack, and
sweet.
I get really excited about it, and then I like to go in and do the reviews. I had one author came in, I bought like 15 of her books. Like I couldn't help it. It's really bad.
Oh my
I have a problem.
God.
This is like an area where I have a problem. So I honestly like I'm actually pretty excited to it's like a funny problem. I'm excited and I like physical books too. I'm like a sucker.
Yes, me
And my
too.
husband gets really mad at me because he's like enough, but I can't help it. I am really excited to read your book. And without giving, too much away, the overarching message from your book, what would it be? What is the like the big picture that you really want someone to take your book and walk away with?
The overarching theme is just give yourself grace. No matter what it is that you're going through, you have to be easy on yourself because this life is hard. It is so complex, and dealing with the losses and dealing with just everything I went through in my childhood, the bullying, the just the craziness, and all of that made me who I am today. If I hadn't given myself grace at some stage of my life, I would not be where I am today. It's just something that I feel is needed. We're all human in this world, and it's something that I take to heart. Just the idea that you don't consider yourself enough, because I went through that my
Mm.
entire life. The most of my 20s, hell, some of my 30s, I was just like, why am I here? Oh my God, I suck. But really, I I would not be the person I am today without all of those trials, without those tribulations. And just give yourself grace. That's my message. That's it. That's it.
I love that because I say that quite a bit.
You do?
I
Okay,
do.
good.
I do. I say it all the time because I consistently have found myself in scenarios where I'm like beating myself up and like,
Yes.
really coming down on myself and for various reasons. And it's not necessary. I've gotten much better starting at 37 to now. I have gotten much better, but it took 37 years on this planet for me
Yep.
to recycle and be like, wait a minute, you're not doing this right. You're like beating yourself up. I mean,
Yep.
it was very real. And I think a lot of women go through that. We don't allow grace and we don't just acknowledge the fact that like, look at what you've done. Like, it's okay. Like, you're not going to hit it out of the park every single day, every single time. Take it one day at a time. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be, at the tip of the top. I yes, I wholeheartedly agree. So I'm
Yeah.
very much looking forward to reading your book.
I
Um,
hope so.
I did see your website, so I want to bring that up to books by Deandra. I saw that you have your social linked on there. There's a contact me area, so I want to pull that up and encourage everyone to visit that website as well because you'd be able to have a direct access link and you can check out all her other materials. You can read
Yes.
everything about her. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really, really appreciate this chat, and
Jenny, thank
I'm
you.
I'm thrilled that you're on this journey. I'm actually very excited to see what you do next because I think that you are doing something next, and
I
we
am.
haven't talked about that, but I have a feeling you are
I
because
am.
I've got a sense here that you are not done, and there's going to be a lot more to come. I'm very
Yes,
excited about it.
ma'am. You're predicting correctly, ma'am. You are.
I
And
had
I
to,
thank
well,
you.
when you're ready, you come back to the show
Of
because I would
course.
love you come back and we can talk about what you're doing next because I already know. I already know you
Yes.
are.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I will definitely be back. And thank you so much for the space and thank you for the time. You are awesome.
Oh, thank you. Well, listeners, thank you for joining us today. We greatly appreciate you. You can check out Deandra's links. They'll be in the episode descriptions, and they're going to push forward to the podcast as well. So if you only caught some of the discussion today, you can listen to the full recording on YouTube and then through the podcast platform of your choice. Thank you, and take care. We'll catch you on the next one.